Hey, knowledge seekers and history buffs. In this episode of Old News, it's 1965. Let's rewind the dial and go on a journey back in time. We begin in the United States, where the civil rights movement reached a critical turning point. The year started with the Selma to Montgomery marches in Alabama, a series of peaceful protests aimed at securing African Americans' right to vote. On March 7, 1965, known as Bloody Sunday, state troopers violently attacked marchers on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. The images of this brutal crackdown shocked the nation and spurred widespread support for the civil rights cause. In response, President Lyndon B. Johnson pushed for sweeping legislation, culminating in the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This landmark law aimed to eliminate racial discrimination in voting, outlawing literacy tests and other barriers designed to disenfranchise African Americans, especially in the South. But racial tensions remained high across the country. In August, the Watts riots erupted in Los Angeles, sparked by the arrest of a black man by white police officers. What began as a routine traffic stop escalated into 6 days of widespread violence and looting, leaving 34 people dead and large swaths of the city in ruins. The Watts riots highlighted the economic and social frustrations faced by many African Americans and marked a shift in the civil rights movement towards more radical expressions of black power and resistance. In global politics, the Vietnam War escalated significantly as the U.S. shifted from advisory support to direct military engagement. In January, the Viet Cong launched a major attack on Binh Gia, showcasing their strength and concerning U.S. advisors. Following a Viet Cong assault on a U.S. base at Pleiku in February, President LBJ ordered retaliatory airstrikes on North Vietnam, Operation Flaming Dart, marking deeper U.S. involvement. In March, the sustained bombing campaign Operation Rolling Thunder began, aiming to weaken North Vietnam's support for the Viet Cong. That same month, the first U.S. combat troops, 3,500 Marines, arrived in Da Nang. By the year's end, U.S. troop numbers had surged to over 180,000, and the Battle of Ia Drang Valley in November saw intense fighting between U.S. and North Vietnamese forces, foreshadowing the war's brutality. By late 1965, the conflict had transformed into a full-scale war with extensive American commitment, setting the stage for prolonged combat in Vietnam. In Africa, the Congo crisis, which had been brewing since the country's independence from Belgium in 1960, took a dramatic turn. The Congo was another battleground in the Cold War global chessboard, with the United States and the Soviet Union indirectly supporting different sides. In 1964, the Simba Rebellion, a leftist uprising, had taken control of large parts of eastern Congo. The rebels captured hundreds of foreign nationals, including Americans, Belgians, and other Europeans, using them as hostages. In response, Operation Dragon Rouge was launched. Belgian paratroopers, flown in by American aircraft, parachuted into Stanleyville, securing the airport and advancing to rescue around 1,800 hostages, while about 200 hostages and civilians were killed by the rebels. 1965 also saw the NASA launch of Gemini 4, including the first spacewalk by an American astronaut, Ed White, who spent 23 minutes floating outside his spacecraft. The image of White tethered to his capsule, floating against the backdrop of the Earth, captured imaginations worldwide. Back on Earth, in the field of entertainment, the Beatles continued to dominate the music scene. 1965 was the year they released Help and Rubber Soul, two albums that marked their evolution from pop stars to groundbreaking artists. At the same time, Bob Dylan went electric at the Newport Folk Festival, a pivotal moment in rock history. Dylan's decision to perform with an electric guitar shocked many of his folk music fans, but also marked a significant shift in popular music, blending the lyrical depth of folk with the energy of rock and roll. In the realm of cinema, The Sound of Music premiered in 1965 and quickly became a massive success. Starring Julie Andrews, the film's heartwarming story and iconic musical numbers made it one of the highest-grossing movies of all time and solidified its place as a beloved classic in American pop culture. And Jim Brown retired from the Cleveland Browns after 9 seasons. Brown was one of the greatest running backs in NFL history and the only player to average over 100 rushing yards per game for his career. He left at age 30 to pursue acting, later appearing in films like The Dirty Dozen and 100 Rifles. This has been Old News, a year in review. In the words of Winston Churchill, those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Join us next time as we explore another fascinating year from the past.